why this always gives me great pleasure. It really does, exposing Robinson for the absolute thug that he is. Because a couple of days ago, he decided that a guy who had been, shall we say, an avid Tommy watcher, probably definitely more avid than I am, who would go back through all his archives, watch all his videos, and then show the inconsistencies he has between his arguments then to now, and all this other stuff. And apparently this had been annoying Robinson quite a bit. However, the final straw, apparently, that broke the camel's back was when this guy went, I know where Tommy lived, because we know where Tommy lives, because the national newspapers have reported on it several times, the area where he lives, and compared his house to a similar sized house to discover that Robinson house cost probably to buy in the region of I think it was like 970,000. So you're talking close to £1 million house that Robinson lives in, or shall we say Stephen lives in. And Stephen here doesn't like, hasn't liked apparently his Twitter account for some time. And this was basically caused him to go, oh, I've been doxed. But no, I'll leave a link to here to Zelo Street, which goes through all of this. Because he didn't dox him at all. There was no doxing involved at all. Robinson then decided he was going to dox this kid and basically went to intimidate him. This is the serious question you've got to ask. So, and we'll go through some of these because now that we know that this guy didn't dox him, it now makes it look a whole lot worse. So, firstly, one, Lennon's accomplices that were driving across the country included not only his mouthy cousin Kevin Carroll, who, like Lennon, shall we say, known to the police, but also one Avi Yami, the self-confessed killer, someone who has been caught on camera glorifying in the death of his fellow human beings at his hands. Taking him along to intimidate two innocent people is not a sign of benevolence. And bear in mind, this trip took 6 hours. Not only that, we know that two of Tommy's accomplices went there beforehand to check whether this guy was in, and they found out he wasn't in, which I think is number two. Yeah, number two. Lennon's actual target is at university. The city in which that university is located was on Lennon's route. He could have saved himself at least an hour of that 6-hour journey by going directly to the person he intended to target. Why did he not do so? Because he wanted to intimidate him, that's why. And I'll notice, where are all the free speech warriors around about this? Because Tommy Robinson has just intimidated this guy to delete his Twitter account. That's clearly an attack on free speech. So where are all these free speech warriors having a go at Tommy? Oh, right, that's right. The silence is deafening. Oh. So, number three. After all, Lennon knew his target was not at the address he was visiting. He knew this because two of his goons had already rocked up there. Yes, Lennon's visit was the second slice of intimidation they had received. The first delegation knew his target was not at home, and it is inconceivable they did not tell him. This leads to one conclusion. Number four, Lennon turned up on his target's parents' house with one objective and one alone. That was to do some damage. Maybe not violent damage to the property or any other form of vandalism, but damage to the fabric of the family group. What kind of damage he had in mind can be gleaned from the video he posted on the return journey. So number five, Lennon's method of exerting leverage on his target was to was to return at first light to the target's parents and call their get the target's parents to call their son. The rest did not need to be spelt out by this time. Lennon's army of followers were already posting details of the target, images, locations, other personal details, family details, parental occupations, places of work, and other roles and duties. These were eagerly shared among with threats and abuse. So, number 6. Lennon eventually instructed his followers to desist, but this was only after the target's details had been poured all over by his fans, and making his instructions, he stressed that he had all the addresses and all the information about the target and his family. So, number 7. What was not spelt out can plainly and directly. What Lennon was saying was that effectively he had not prevented that he had not prevailed in having the target delete his Twitter account. Then there would be no instruction to call off his dogs. What does that mean? So essentially, unless his target deletes his Twitter account, he's not going to call off his fans of rabid followers. That's just insane. This is mafioso tactics. This really is. You know, if you don't stop, criticising me and exercising your free speech, then I'm going to turn up with my army of followers, and then, well, bad things are going to happen to you. That is exactly how the mafia acts. Robinson is not a working class hero, he's just a thug who happens to have a lot of money at his disposal. And quite frankly, this guy, the quicker this guy gets put behind bars, the better.